Hello, Gatemen fans, and welcome into the Gatemen Pregame Show here from Spillane Field. Alongside me is Henrique, DaMour, and JD Raucci. I'm Cameron Stuart. 2-0 start for the Gatemen on the season. Game number 3 coming at you tonight against the Cotuit Kettlers. And for the Gatemen, it's really started with stark starting pitching, hasn't it, JD?
Yeah, both starters have been fantastic through the first 2 games. Joey Matulovic in the win over Chatham on Tuesday, and then last night, Ken Waldachuk, the left-hander from St. Mary's. We saw him be fantastic all season with the Gales, and he was nothing short of fantastic once again last night. 6 strikeouts in the game, just 4 innings pitched. He looked absolutely incredible, and in his last inning pitch, he actually struck out the side in order. So when you're getting that kind of a start from a guy like Waldachuk or a guy like Matulovic, it's really setting the tone for the entire Gatemen team, not only the defense behind the pitchers, but also the batters as well, and really just getting this team into some good spirits and getting good starts to the game. And that's the reason that we've seen the Gatemen be the only 2-0 team on the Cape thus far.
And for 17 of the 18 innings so far this year for the Gatemen, they've been in some pretty tight games. Henrique, how has the bullpen kept them in the game so far?
Bullpen's been fantastic, and I think they've been able to keep in their own heads despite, especially in Game 1, we saw some not-so-great defensive performances, some errors being made, but the bullpen pitchers, I mean, that's why these guys are out here on the Cape. They're some of the best guys in the country. They're able to stay in their own heads, control what they can, and I think the lack of walks given up as well. We talked about how Ken Waldachuk had 6 strikeouts and no walks and just 1 base not given up all day. That goes the amount of free passes you can limit. It gives your defense a lot more room to work, and the bullpen pitchers are just in a better headspace. And the offense, on the flip side of things, can focus on doing what they have to do. They're not playing from behind, not playing with pressure on their heels as well.
It's been a tale of 2 games for the Gatemen to start the season. First night in Chatham ended up becoming a laugher, a 12-4 victory, but a tight one here that the Gatemen were able to come away with last night in walk-off fashion. JD, what impressed you last night against the Harwich Mariners?
Well, last night I think I was impressed by the mental fortitude of this team, and frankly, I was impressed by that against Chatham as well, because as you mentioned, it became a laugher, but really that game was tight the entire way. 5-4, a Gatemen lead as they headed to the top of that 9th inning before they got those 7 runs across the board. So the mental fortitude from a team that really hasn't had a ton of a chance to gel together as a unit. So the fact that they were able to keep their spirits up, keep themselves together as a team, and keep the momentum driving through the game, even when it's a close one, like it was early against Chatham and all night last night against Harwich. That's what I've been impressed by the most for the Gatemen team. Not only just the play on the field, but the mental fortitude and the mental stability that this team has shown so far this season.
Henrique, what did you see last night from the Gatemen against Harwich that you didn't see in the opener against Chatham?
I saw a bunch of different guys contribute in different ways. We saw a little more aggressive base running, as you like to say it, forcing the issue, right? And scoring on pass balls, guys finding ways to contribute. Isaac Collins, I think, was a great example of that. He went 0 for 4 before finding a way on base via the walk. Andrew Vaughn pushed him over to third with a single, and he was able to score the game-winning run despite having an 0 for 4 day. Andrew Vaughn continued his tear, 3 for 5 on the day as well. So I think we've seen individual guys start to, come out of their shells a little more, and we got some household names on the Gatemen roster this year.
It was a great win for the Gatemen last night. A solid night for third baseman Austin Shenton. He's going to talk to our Mary Orders after the break.
Make sure you sign your child up today for the Gatemen Robertson's GMC Youth Clinics. This year we have 5 one-week sessions for children 5 to 14. We also have 2 special sessions for hitting and pitching open to teens. Registration is available online at gatemen.org or through forms available at the merchandise booth. Stop by our Gatemen concession stand and support both the Gatemen and the Wareham High School DECA program.
Hi, and welcome back into the Gatemen Pregame Show. I'm Mary Orders, joined by Gatemen third baseman Austin Shenton. Now, Austin, you went 3 for 4 yesterday with 3 singles. You seem to be adjusting well, but how has it been so far using the wooden bats?
I think I've always liked hitting with wooden bat, honestly, more than metal. That's where I hit with my JUCO in last summer league, so I had about a year straight of hitting with wood, so I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Great, and you guys have 2 games under your belt now and about a week or so of practices. How has the atmosphere been on the team?
Oh, it's great. I love being around all these guys and the coaches. I think we all have fun. Just go out there every day, try to have fun, and improve every day.
Definitely. And moving forward, what are some of your goals for the rest of the summer?
Just have fun and improve myself every day, and just be a good teammate. Just improve every facet of my game.
Definitely. Now, this is Austin Shenton. I'm Mary Orders. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Mary. Getting set for things tonight against the Cotuit Kettlers. who also got off to a rip-roaring start in their first game of the season. Henrique, what do you have about that?
So it was a 10-1 win. It was a rip-roaring start indeed. Peyton Burdick was the story for the Kettlers in their win against Brewster. He went 4 for 4 with 7 RBIs and count them 3 home runs. From Wright State, he had himself an absolute ball game, but the fact of the matter is their pitching did the job as well. Between Metters and the bullpen, but the star of the day was John Baker, the junior from Ball State. He went 5 scoreless innings, gave up 6 hits, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. The bullpen and the starting pitching, yes, a small sample size for Cotuit because they had their rain out yesterday against Bourne, or I should say a weather-impacted game against Bourne. But it's been good so far, and their offense, they can hit.
They sure can. It was definitely an electrifying debut for Burdick against the defending Cape League champs. What is he going to see from the Wareham starter tonight, JD?
Well, tonight it's going to be Mason Fioli, the left-hander from UConn, going to be getting the start for the Gatemen, and he was absolutely fantastic this season at UConn. Baseball America, third-team All-American, 2.50 ERA, 120 strikeouts, and just over 100 innings pitched. And when you have those kind of numbers, that's when you contribute to a team. That's when you become a team's ace. And we saw Ken Waldachuk on the mound yesterday for the Gatemen. He was pretty acely in that game, as we mentioned earlier. So now that you got Fioli coming back, and it's always a little bit tougher to face a left-hander because, not as many guys are left-handed, and it's tough. A lot of the power bats in the league will be from the left side. So if the Gatemen can contain the power bats, then they can really kind of control the pace of the game. And Fioli was here last season, so he's had the rigors of a Cape League season, played 8 games last year with the Gatemen. Didn't have the best start to the season that he wanted to, but then he came back and had an absolutely incredible season at UConn. He's got a funky little delivery with that high leg kick, so ball coming out of his hand looks a little bit weird to pitch or to opposing batters, I should say. So it's going to be a really tough night for the Cotuit Kettlers to really get going against Mason Fioli because he is a special kind of guy.
We've got a couple of aces going tonight. It'll be Mason Fioli against Zane Collins from Wright State, who pitched a complete game shutout right here at Spillane Field against the Gatemen just last season. For more, we're going to go down to Mary Orders once again.
Hi, and welcome back to the Gatemen Pregame Show. I'm Mary Orders, joined by head coach Don Sneddon. Now, Coach, you guys have come up late in the later innings. What do you do to keep the energy up in the dugout?
Well, that's not by design. Believe me, we don't practice that. I'd like to score early and often. Just the way the games go, it's the flow goes. So you got to score when you get that opportunity. It's just happened to be late for us right now, and I'm hoping that maybe we can spread that out and not just do it in the 9th inning.
Yeah, and speaking of that, what are you going to do to try to get the hitters going early tonight?
Well, they have good pitching, and this is what the Cape is about. Where all the hitters are always behind with wooden bats. They haven't swung the bats, so they're always behind. So we got to take advantage, really, of the other things they do, like walks or an errors or hit by pitches, and then get a timely hit because you're not going to put 3 or 4 hits together in this league very often.
Definitely. And lastly, tonight's starter, Mason Fioli, was here last year for 8 games and 6 starts. What did he do well last summer, and what have you seen him improve in his college season to get the start tonight?
Well, I haven't seen much of him. Obviously, I'm on the West Coast, and he's on the East Coast, so I know he must be doing something right to have a good record and also be on Team USA. So we're only going to get a couple starts out of him, and this will be one of them. I think he has one more than he has to report. So last year he struggled a little bit with control, used a lot of pitches per inning type of thing. He needs to be a little more efficient and having a 10, 11 pitch inning instead of a 20 pitch inning.
Great. Thanks so much, Coach. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Mary. Just a few changes to the Gatemen lineup tonight. Most notably, Oliver Dunn is going to be back in the lineup for Wareham. What do you expect from him, Henrique?
He puts together really good at-bats. He's really disciplined at the plate, had himself a really good game against Chatham to open the season. Isaac Collins found himself in the starting lineup yesterday. He had himself an all-right day. But Dunn went 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored as well. He's going to be at the top of the lineup, bumping Skylar Hunter down to the 2 spot. So there's a little more speed in the 1 and 2 spots. We all know Skylar Hunter can run. But Oliver Dunn, while he had no stolen bases against Chatham, he was able to be aggressive on the base pads, force some errant throws, and force some wild pitches out of opposing starters as well.
And it is going to be Dunn at the top of the order, leading things off for the Gatemen tonight. But it's really been the meat of the order, some of those Team USA guys who have really got things going for the Gatemen offensively.
Yeah, we've talked about Andrew Vaughn. We've talked about Bryant Packard, and those are really kind of those big, hefty hitters in the middle of that lineup. Those guys are both Team USA guys, but let's talk about Parker Phillips from Austin P. He's put a charge into the ball the first couple of games this season for the Gatemen. He's looked really disciplined. He's looked really comfortable at the plate, comfortable with the wooden bat, which we know sometimes is a bit of a struggle And how about this? Gatemen hitting .271 to start the season. That's pretty good at the start of a Cape League season because of the fact that guys are transitioning from the aluminum bats and metal bats in college, transitioning over to the wooden bats. So we usually see a bit more of a pitcher-heavy success rate early in the season in the Cape League. But it's impressive that we've seen so much production from the heart of that lineup, or the heart of the order for the Gatemen this season. I've been impressed with Parker Phillips, Bryant Packard, and of course Andrew Vaughn. And really, this entire Gatemen team altogether has hit pretty well.
Those guys have really stepped up to the task at hand so far this season. A stiff one tonight, though, with Zane Collins. Henrique, what are your keys to the game tonight for the Gatemen?
Like today, I'm going to look on the other side of the rubber and look at Mason Fioli. He's got some power bats to contain between Dillard as well as Peyton Burdick. 6 hits between the two of them in their opener against Brewster. And I think it's going to be about learning at-bat to at-bat because, obviously it didn't take Burdick it didn't take him one time around the order to get going. He went 4 for 4 with 3 home runs. So I think Fioli's going to, he's a stud. He's their third-team All-America for a reason. And part of that as a pitcher is learning at-bat to at-bat because the second time around the order is always tougher for a pitcher. It's going to be his job to make sure that doesn't happen and key in on those batters so that the rest of the lineup becomes a breeze.
JD, what do the Gatemen have to do to be successful tonight from your end?
Well, I think that we talked about how good the heart of the order has been. I need to see a little bit more production from the top of the order. First 2 times through the order yesterday, Ricky DeVito went 1-2-3 in the first and third innings. The right-hander from Seton Hall, who started for Harwich yesterday, went 1-2-3 against the 1-2-3 hitters for Wareham in the first and third. I think that we need to see a little bit more production from the top of that lineup. Maybe Oliver Dunn coming back into the lineup could help to get that going at the top of the order. I need to see them be catalysts. That's why they're at the top of the lineup. They get on base, they hit well for average, they have high on-base percentages, and they can wreak havoc on the base paths. Those guys at the top of the order, whoever it may be, Skylar Hunter, Oliver Dunn, whoever it is, Andrew Vaughn has been fantastic, but 1-2-3 needs to be a little bit better tonight and help get innings going and help get the game going for the Gatemen early on so they can jump on top of Cotuit and really take control of this game in the early stages.
These guys know what they need to do. Now you guys know what the Gatemen need to do to try and go 3-0 on the season. We're going to bring you Cape Cod League baseball action next between the Wareham Gatemen and the Cotuit Kettlers here on the Gatemen Baseball Network.